to another episode of Deep Dive with Tranquility. It's your boy, your main man, Mandla. I'm having it namhlanje. I'm also having a special guest, Bongani Mthembu.
Sure, Mingo.
Bonza, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Hey, listen, bro, it is a great pleasure and a privilege to have you with us namhlanje because I know we're going to have good time.
Yes, of course.
Without wasting any time, our topic namhlanje we will be focusing on step one. And I know for a fact that you're good at it, right? So maybe tell us, Guti, what is your understanding of step one and maybe a bit of your personal experience with that step?
Okay, thank you, Mandla. Thank you very much for the opportunity as well. Where do I start? Step one, very, very, very important step. It doesn't mean that the other steps are not important, but I believe, Guti, step one is the foundation step.
Foundation.
If you would want and you desire to build a solid recovery on a daily basis, you have to practice step one in your life.
Right.
So with my own experience, when I look at my experience or things that happened in the past, in my active addiction, getting to learn how I was controlled and I was dominated by an obsession to use, having this idea in my head that I will die an addict. I will die because of the way I was living my life,
So you had already accepted defeat.
Yeah, I've already accepted defeat, and I thought, Guti, it's going to be like this for the rest of my life.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to stop because I tried when I'm Mandla, I tried stopping, but it was difficult for me. I was always consumed by this need, by this need to use. Whether I was happy, I needed to use. Whether I lost a loved one, I needed to use.
Okay. So before maybe we continue, I will hear most people saying, before they actually got to realize that they had a problem, they were in denial. So is that part of step one?
Yes, denial is part of our disease. The addiction is an illness. That's number one. I needed to understand that addiction is a disease. So part of that disease is denial. I stayed in the denial stage for a very long time. I've always compared my addiction with other people's addiction. I made all these excuses for my addiction. I used people, I used situations and circumstances as reasons why I am behaving the way I did, why I am using, And at times, in denial, look at the abbreviation, man. It made it easy for me. In denial, don't even know I am lying. So I didn't know that I was lying to myself, thinking, I will be able to control, I'll go and buy a bag, and then I'll come back and use. And then after that, it will be hard for me to not maintain just using that one bag. And people will tell me, Bongs, you have a problem with drugs. And I will keep telling them, no, I still have this thing under control. I still have a job. I still wake up in the morning and I'm able to buy bread for myself. I'm still looking good. I still have my clothes.
So you're saying, Bongani, that because we have a lot of people who are using substances and yet they still have tangible stuff. Is that another reason for them not to accept that they might be in danger from a substance because of what they've accumulated?
Exactly. If you still have these things, why stop? If you still have these things, why would you even think you have a problem?
Because it says it's still
under control. You understand? I still haven't sold this stuff. I'm not like the guy that sold his TV.
Yeah.
I still have my TV. I'm not that guy who sold his house or his car. Yeah. I still have my car. I still have my house. So there's no need for me to stop at this stage. I'm able to manage my using. But within myself, I could see, my life is going out of control. But still I didn't want to accept because I made these tangible things an escape, which I still have these things.
So what helped you from removing denial?
I had to be beaten. I think what made me remove denial was being beaten by a bag.
Okay,
A
because
small plastic bag brought me to my knees.
I was about to ask, beaten physically or mentally?
Hey, Baba, in every area, you know, in every area of my life, I was beaten. Physically, I lost a lot of weight. That's number one. You know, complexion, I was becoming darker. And because I would fall, sometimes I would even sleep in places where I don't even know, you know, and I would, like, you would see, you would say, this person like hasn't slept, you know, I'm dirty, I haven't washed and stuff. So that's number one, you know. And then mentally, I got really affected because now it was hallucination and paranoia, you know. I was starting to see things, you know. I was starting to hear voices, you know, and I would just forget very quickly, you know. Mentally, I think I was really going insane.
You're about to lose it.
I lost it. Not about to lose it. I had lost it already. I mean, if a normal person would just run from a plastic bag, imagine, because there's wind, and then you just think it's an object or something that wants to eat you up, or you know, it's crazy, you know. So mentally, it was like that. Emotionally and spiritually, I think that was the most saddest, you know, because I disconnected with my higher power. I grew up in a Christian background where we believe that prayer, where we believe that God is the source of everything. You know? But at that time, the way I was so broken and hopeless, I started to isolate myself. I started thinking that the whole world has turned their back against me. No one wanted to do anything with me. I felt very lonely. You know, it was a space where the only solution for me then, or the only thought that came into my mind, was death. If only I could die, maybe all of this would just come to an end.
I can imagine death being a solution. That's really sad.
Yeah, so it was really, really, really bad, you know, because, you know, this disease progresses on Amigos. You know, step one, for me, it has taught me to surrender, you know. Instead of being in denial and thinking, which I'm in control, I haven't lost things, I still have my family. I mean, once you start losing those things, you know, they say the greatest loss for a man is when a man loses himself. I think I was in that position where I've lost myself. You know, I felt I did not belong.
You know, I love the fact that you're actually advocating for our brothers and sisters who are out there still suffering, because I believe most of our surroundings, you know, people think that for some reason, maybe we don't want to grow up, or they don't want to grow up. You know, they don't know that they've been affected, especially spiritually, as you have mentioned. But getting into your step one, which is what we'll be focusing on today. So we've been given a program, right? In that program, that's where you find step one. So before calling a step one, do you think, what's the reason why they had to put step one to be the first step? Why not the third? Why didn't they put it on that step? Why was it important with step one needs to be the first step when it comes to recovery?
I mean, let's look at the wording first. You know, we admitted we were powerless over our addiction, and that our lives had become unmanageable. That's a fact that one has to face before even taking a journey into recovery. You have to face it. You have to admit that you have a weakness. It has to be the first step. I think they really put it in a right place. It has to be number one. I needed to accept, I needed to break my denial. So step one, it's important for that, and I think that is why they chose to put it as a number one step, where I have to make a conscious admission and say to myself, I am powerless over these drugs and alcohol. When I start using, I cannot stop. My life becomes a mess. I'm unmanageable. I'm losing jobs. I'm losing my loved one. You have to face that reality first before you can actually connect with the rest of the steps.
I love the fact that you speak of step one being a conscious decision, you know, that one should take. Because at the end of the day, I think it all starts from a person, you know, saying, I am defeated. So like you saying step one says we admitted, right? maybe if you can just break it down for us, who are the we they are talking about? What is admission in your understanding?
Okay, so the we part is a collective. Remember, the program was formulated back in 1939, right? And I mean, when they talk about the we, they're talking about the guys that have recovered from that seemingly hopeless state of mind and body.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at them now in recovery and you're like, what? They're calling themselves alcoholics, but you look at them, they look good. You know, they're calling themselves addicts, but they look good. They don't even look like they're addicts. So this is the we, the people who have recovered from that state. You know, the people who have gained their trust again. You know, the community now accepts them for who they are. You know? These are the guys who go out and carry the message of hope to others, people. You know? So that's the we, the collective, the fellowship of people who meet on a regular basis to discuss their problem. You know?
This is actually powerful, boss, because when you think of it, with the little that you have just mentioned now, it says we are not alone.
Yes.
Unless you choose to. There's always somebody who's willing to help you. And most importantly, you know, having to witness people who have recovered, I think that also gives us hope. So I love the fact that, you know, I don't have to be alone. Because I think you would agree with me to say most of addicts and alcoholics, they are just the lonely people.
And remember, you can't walk this journey on your own, you know. Even when when I was still using or when I was drinking, I wasn't doing it alone.
Yeah.
You know, I had a crew, my friend, you know. So even in recovery, you know, you need people to recover with, you know. You need people who can guide you, you know. So the we part is very important to understand when you do step one, that you cannot do this program on your own.
Of course. I mean, but the fact that I'm looking for a solution, I need to go back to people who have found the solution. I cannot work something I do not know. I think that's a powerful point, and I think our viewers would get to understand the deeper level of the addiction. So moving on to say we admitted. How does one admit? You can also give us your personal experience to say, how does admission work?
You know, for me, for addicts or for alcoholics, you need evidence. You need proof.
Yeah.
You know? Because you see, we spoke about denial earlier, and I think that's the lie that keeps us in the grip of our addiction. You know, and once you have this evidence, once you have this proof, let's go back to your past. Let's look at your track record.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where one can make an admission. You know, once he comes face to face with the realities of their addiction. The reality of my addiction is that I start using, I cannot stop. I steal at home. I end up in the streets. The community wants nothing to do with me. This is proof enough. I ended up in the streets. This is proof. All I need to do is to admit that I'm petty.
Yeah.
You understand? So the admission part of step one says, look at your track record. Look at what you have done. Look at your experience. Right now, you don't even have a solution to this problem. And you can't even identify what is my problem. When I first came into recovery, I thought drugs and alcohol were my problem. Until I did my step one, I started understanding what I have something more cruel than alcohol and drugs, which is the disease of addiction. So I needed to admit to what it's the disease that leads me to using drugs and alcohol.
So it's not like they are bad people. It's the disease of addiction in them that dictates their every move.
Exactly.
So Bonza, I can just imagine that there's probably a parent watching the show right now, or a brother or a sister who's saying, hey, but my brother has lost everything. Why is it hard for him to admit? Or why is it hard for my sister to admit? She even lost her job, she lost her kids. Why is it hard for them to just see reality for what it is?
You see, that's the cruel part about the disease, you can see, as a family member, you can see this problem, right? And the user himself sees this problem, right? But it's very difficult for me as an addict to say, I need help. You know, that's one defect that I have. You know, I still want to prove to people which I'm able to manage this deal. Where else I can see which it's very difficult. You said something so profound, which we are not bad people. We are sick people. You know, even when I can see which my life is spiraling out of control, it's hard for me to just stretch my hand and say, guys, please help me.
Now, that's one of the cruel diseases ever. I mean, if you can see that you're dying and yet you still have this voice at the back of your throat to say, hi, we won't die. You still
imagine a disease that tells you that you are not sick. It convinces you. It's an illness that convinces you, which I know you are okay. It's these people that have a problem.
Why in actual fact
when you're okay, you don't have any problem. You can still find ways and means to try and manage the situation. You know, we always scam, we manipulate. You know, but one thing that you cannot manipulate, because you can't manipulate addiction. Once it has you, it has you. You know, so that's why it's important for us to come into a program where we are always reminded, Uti, we have an illness and there is treatment for it. So I need to come to that stage where I accept, Uti, I have a problem and I need help.
With that being said, Bonza, we spoke of the we part, we spoke of your admission. Now let's get into the powerlessness. You know, if you can just break it down to us, for our viewers to understand what it really means. Because remember, according to our social norms, immediately when you say you're powerless over something, it seems as if you're giving it power to keep on controlling you. And you know, as an African man, once you admit that you're powerless, then you somehow look as a weak person. You know, so I know for a fact that when you start saying, I don't have power over these things, they're saying, hi. But the minute that you have told yourself that you don't have power, that's when it's going to overpower you. But they expect us to, you know, in a way say, I am powerful over drugs. Is that possible?
I mean, powerlessness means, that's, you know, admitting a weakness. Which I'm weak. I'm a man. I can't be weak. You can't tell me which I'm weak. And that's where the manipulation comes in, where I would say it's the beer, you know, that's more powerful. Maybe ciders are better. And it's the one, it's because I didn't eat. That's why I got drunk. I drank on an empty stomach. But let's look at powerlessness in this way. You're walking on the road, then you pass a bar or a tavern, right? And then you see a board written there, buy two, get one free.
Right.
Buy two, get one free. The gate is open and there's music playing there. And I'm an alcoholic, remember, but my intention is just to get home. I just want to get home with my kids, be with my family, and just live life like normal people. But for the fact to which I saw a bar, a tavern, and there's a special there. Just me seeing that. I haven't started drinking. I'm just seeing a special there. There's a board. There's music playing in there. Taverns and bars are open for business. But me, in my mind, taverns and bars are open for me. If you put a special there, and then I'm unable to even stop myself from, I'm powerless.
Wow.
I'm powerless. I can't even make a decision which I'm not getting into that place. Because I know what I did last month. I went into that place and things happened. So that's powerlessness. I'm unable to even stop myself from going into a bar. And when I get into a bar, let's say I get into a bar, I buy the special, buy two, get one free, and then I sit down, I drink. I still need to go back home, right? And then right there and there, because of I have a body that likes the feeling of alcohol, I'm unable to stop once I start. Now that is powerlessness.
That is powerlessness.
Everyone, powerlessness, I'm powerless over a lot of things.
So you're saying you have a body that says you can't stop. You don't have to stop, even if when you want to stop. So the mind can say, we have had enough.
Yes.
But the body would say, you can't stop.
No. The body doesn't want to stop because it likes the feeling. When I was drinking Milos, it wasn't because of the taste of alcohol. It was the feeling that I got from alcohol. See, my body is different from normal people's bodies. My body likes the poison instead of it rejecting it.
It likes it.
It likes
Says
it.
put more poison.
Put more. It's like I have Isloan and Milos within myself. Once you get that taste of the alcohol, then it's on.
The beast.
It's on.
So you're saying most of our brothers and sisters who might be under the bridges as we speak, begging for money to feed their habit. It's not as if they're interested in that powder, but the feeling that the powder gives them.
It gives you that sense of comfort, that sense of ease, the feeling factor plays a very big role in this addiction, where when you feel frustrated, when you feel like you are losing it, but once you get that one, it's like you're getting a relief from that.
So you're saying people cheat, lie, manipulate just for that feeling?
Just for the feeling, I don't want to hurt anyone. I just want that feeling.
Oof.
And there's a saying that we use, excuse me for using this, but you only become a virgin once.
Yeah.
When you start using, you will never get that feeling again.
Yeah.
You are only chasing. It's just chasing. You're chasing.
So you're saying the repetition of using is just that you are looking for that first feeling we got.
The first feeling that you will never get ever again. So that's the powerlessness. So I keep running into something that I see. It messes my life up. It's destroying my family. It's taking everything from me. But I'm unable to stop even when I want to.
That's powerless.
So I am powerless over this.
So it has power over you. Yes. I do not have power over you. Moving on to unmanageability. So now I understand I'm powerless over drugs and alcohol. And it says, and now my life has become unmanageable. What is the unmanageability that step one talks about?
So the unmanageability that step one speaks about here, until that happens to your life, I think we'll go back to the wording for admission, the powerlessness. The unmanageability is when you're now unable to manage even the simple things as a life, when I drink on a Friday and I drink again on a Saturday and then I wake up on a Sunday eating kipi papalas and then I'm unable to go to work the next day, right? Unmanageability yaqala lapho. If I can't go to work, ngithola ama warnings at work. I get warnings at work, my meetings, I'm a doctor's note, I'm a doctor's note. I think in the office they have like a file full of I'm a doctor's note because of how unmanageable you are. You're unable to come to work. Even when you are at work or in the office, you're not even productive at all, And you get paid, salary and once it comes in, the first thing you think about is your alcohol. You're unable to pay your bills. Can't even pay your bills. Since you bought that night take last month, I'm told, you can't even take care of yourself. You can't even eat food. The only thing you do, is just alcohol.
Yeah, Bongani, that's very sad because what I'm getting from you is that the unmanageability doesn't only affect you, but most importantly, people around you.
Yes. So the people around you get affected mostly, greatly. Imagine not paying your child's school fees. You're just using that money for your alcohol. Imagine not buying food in the house. When you only come with tin fish end of the month. I remember one time it was when I was working. I was working for this big company, and I would get paid, and I would really plan with this money will be going home, and then this one will be doing this. I had a very strict budget. And come month end, all that money goes to a club. When I come back, now I have to ask my mom and dad for money to go to work. You know what I'm saying? Now I have to go to a loan shark to ask for money.
And where are the friends that you dragged with?
The friends won't help you. My friends, they won't help you because you are on your own. Because the only thing they want from you is your mind, my friend, so that you can maintain this lifestyle for them. At the end of the day, I end up in debts. I owe people money now. This is the unmanageable part of step one that speaks about. I'm a debit orders that I was always reversing. I will always reverse my debit order. And you find Uti, now I'm deep into debt because of that. So my life became unmanageable. And if you were me, if you were my girlfriend, then you will leave.
Of course.
No one would want to be around someone that lives a life like that. And when you say people around you get affected, your whole family gets affected by this whole thing. Because now they have to go out and go hustle money from and for the fact that I'm stealing also from them. That's the unmanageable part, because at that stage now I have reached my rock bottom. So it's hard.
Can you speak of the unmanageability, especially in the relationship, romantic relationships? Because one of the things I've realized is that things like GPV, you know that most of the time one partner was under the influence. And so can you just talk a bit more of unmanageability in the romantic relationship, in your own personal viewpoint or experience?
In my experience, I remember I was dating this one girl, and the way life had become a mess, I call it. I would even think Uti, she is cheating. I would even start controlling her, control her in such a way where even when she wanted to go out with her friends, my insecurities, and the fact that I was the one that wanted to run the relationship, to impose things on her, to tell her how to dress, because now I was uncomfortable, especially when she's not around me, and the fact that the life I was living was not healthy with her, and most of these relationships become toxic in such a way where I don't come back home, I don't pay attention to her, and obviously she needs someone.
Of course.
She needs someone to be around, and when she goes out, Minanji, every time when I'm I would think she's just going out with guys. You understand? And I'll be so angry to a point where we'll start arguing, and when we argue, that will escalate, and then it will become physically. And one time she even went to the police station, and they told her to put a protection order against me, and a protection order was put against me. I couldn't see her, but I still forced myself into seeing her. And every time I would see her, I would just look at her and think, Uguti, she's with a guy. Like every time there was that thing, Uguti, she's with a guy, And the addiction, the lie in addiction, you telling yourself, Uguti, you got things under control, but while your relationship is busy falling apart. That's where MGPV comes in, because people are unable to live in each other's space. We don't understand each other. We don't connect as much as we should be connecting, because I'm spending time I'm spending time with them, but I don't allow her to actually spend time with her friends too. So there's no connection that happens.
No, it makes perfect sense. I'm thinking to myself that it will be very difficult, obviously, to love somebody if we have not learned how to love ourselves. So, and then a relationship with our family members.
Hey, that gets
the unmanageability.
Yeah, man, my brothers. I look at my brother, I look at my sisters. And it caused that my siblings also couldn't have a healthy relationship with my parents, because they always felt my parents are on my side. They're protecting me. They're not even paying attention to them. They have problems too. They want their father, they want their mother, but their mother, their father is mostly focused on what Bongani is doing, trying to help me, but at the same time, I don't want help at that time. I'm still doing what I'm doing because I'm in the grip of the addiction, and having to take things from home, because I ended up losing a job, right? So I needed something to help me maintain my habit. So I would start stealing from home. And my father had a problem with this, but my mom always had hope sometime, somehow I would change, But my father couldn't stand this. They are losing things at home. So it ended up almost breaking their marriage apart because my father couldn't take it anymore. And I remember my mom came to me and said, Bongani, I think you'll be happy if your father leaves, because whatever it is that you're doing is really straining our relationship or our marriage at that time. So, yeah, at home, I cause so much pain when I'm in this.
I think there's so many viewers who would share the same sentiment. I think there's mother who will be watching this and they could actually understand what you're talking about. So maybe the last one would be the unmanageability within your community, your neighbor.
If you lose the connection with your family,
you can't connect.
You can't. If you can't manage it within your household or with your family, it's gonna be very difficult for people outside to actually trust you, to even want to help you. There were people where I lived who believed I could be better than what I was, but at the end, I even stole from them as well. People who had hope, I would change. I even messed them up, I would take money from them and I wouldn't bring it back. And I would even lie to them and say, Mom is asking for 1, 2, and 3, and she says she's gonna pay it month 8. And then they will give me because they trust me, they trust my family too. But I was lying, it wasn't true. So my community didn't really want anything also to do with me because I ended up even online shopping, online shopping. Like I was taking washing out of the washing lines from online shopping.
Wow.
So I was stealing from them as well. And then I would go to Mama's Style and then I would start selling those stuff so that I could. So, one time when I was almost caught by the securities there, and God has always been on my side, even in my addiction. It is only but by the grace of God that I'm alive today because after I remember it was a Friday, I stole some clothes from the line, right? I went and sold them. The following day, a guy was caught, the very same place where I stole them, and he was beaten to death by the community. You understand what I'm saying? So it got to that point where I was taking things from my community, and now I could have been killed by the very same community. If they could do it to that guy, what would stop them from doing it?
Bongani, what you have just said now, I think the importance of a podcast of this magnitude, because we're actually trying to teach the community about the disease, right? Why am I saying this? It's because a lot of people get to kill addict. They don't understand them anymore. They've lost hope. So all they do, they believe that they just need a shamble, they just need to beat them up so that, they could make an example to others. But again, we have seen people being beaten up, being killed. It hasn't changed, because I feel like we're trying to fight, but we are using a wrong format. Exactly. So I think that's the importance of such conversations.
Yes.
Wrapping this up, in a nutshell, what can you say step 1 it's all about?
So step 1 is it's about the admission, admitting your powerlessness and looking at your experience and how unmanageable your life has become. Step 1 is about having to surrender to something else, to a power that is greater than yourself, rather than alcohol and drugs. When I was using drugs and alcohol were a power greater than me, but they were never a solution for me to live a healthy and a good life. So I need to tap into a power that is far greater than drugs and alcohol, a power that is far greater than me as well. But in order for me to do that, I need to come to a space where I accept defeat and say to myself, I am done. I need help. I don't want to do this thing anymore. Please help me, because, this is where I just give my all to the program. This is where I need to start to apply the honesty. And that honesty is not honesty to other people, but it's more honesty to myself, to say, I am defeated. I am powerless over my addiction and I need help. Step one is really about surrendering. Surrender. Leave no reservations, no stone unturned, It's about getting into a new way of living. It's about building a foundation for a new way of life.
They say we have to accept, we have to surrender, we have to give in to a power far greater than us. Thank you very much, Bongani, for sharing so much with us. And we thank you also for using your personal experience so that people can get to understand that you're not only saying what you're saying because you read it, but you actually lived it. So we hope we're going to see you again in our studios.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys, today we're going to do things differently. Bongani here is going to wrap it up for us.
Thank you very much for tuning in to this episode. Please ensure that you follow us on all our social media platforms and subscribe.